Good morning, everybody. Welcome to IT Live, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. I'm here with Paul Wadlington. We are going to discuss redshirt freshmen and just those regular old plain freshmen standouts during the spring game. Future is bright for the team as well as talented currently. Head over to Inside Texas, guys. Spring sale 50% off. IT on 3 rivals, Ultimate Fan Bundle. Link in the description. Sign up, please. We'd love to see you over there. All right, Paul. Took a unique angle. I think we're on like episode 7 of spring ball takeaways or spring game takeaways.
Well, guess what? We're going to do about 3 more weeks of this.
I was going to say, but we haven't done freshmen. So thank you for naturally getting to something unique there, as you always do. And let's start.
I've got a suggestion.
Yes.
Let's just do the true freshman, and that'll leave me some time to empty the notebook on more general observations. What do you think about that?
Matt, you got something in the can that you're ready to rock with? Are you talking about the rest of the game?
Yeah, there were other players.
I guess.
All right.
Yeah, we can start with a plain freshman. I think let's just flow, dude. Let's get in the flow state.
Thank you for your indulgence.
Do here. All right. Let's do true freshman. And Rocky Cummings. So this is actually a good way to open up. So yesterday on the live, I was like, Rocky Cummings cooked Siani on a blitz path. And it wasn't Siani. Thank you, Ian, for telling me. It was Jonte Newman, which makes me feel a lot better. Because I just unfortunately went right tackle, therefore Siani. And it wasn't Siani on that. So my bad, Siani, if you saw that. But like I said, I feel better. But also, Rocky Cummings still looked really fast when he did it. So I'm glad that you mentioned him first. He had some good plays.
He is much more explosive than I think he was sold as. Yeah. And he's actually really bendy and flexible. So your concern, people always bemoan what's happened to the classic linebackers of yore, right? These 6'3", 6'4", 240, 250-pound guys, run up, destroy a fullback, stuff the running back in the hole. Well, the spread happened to them, right? And the passing game happened to them. So the only position in the NFL that's gotten consistently smaller is inside linebacker.
Yeah.
Like if you watched football in the late 80s, early 90s, those dudes were 250. Now they're 225, 230, right? And so Cummings is 6'4". He hasn't fully filled out, so he's probably 225, 230. But he can really bend and he can move laterally. So there was a play early in the game where a running back bounced outside and he just stacked, shed, flowed right outside, drilled the guy. I mean, you could hear the hit. I mean, basically on the guy who was recording on the iPhone sitting up high. Oh, Connor just
it's storming really bad out here, and I thought it was getting worse. It was just a garbage truck. But I was like, wow, it's been pretty intense out here.
So he is really fluid for his size. And it reminded me of some guys that we saw in the Big 12 who were kind of classic Mikes that you could still keep on the field on 3rd and 11, and they could cover, they could blitz, they could do whatever. And that's guys like Mike Rose at Iowa State, Matt Jones at Baylor. I don't know if you remember those guys. Danny Stutzman is an obvious comparison. He has some douchiness associated with him that I didn't want to put on Rocky, but
he's a fun if he's on your team guy.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But so I really liked what I saw from him. I loved his high school tape. I loved him as a late addition, and he has done nothing but improve the things that I already liked about his high school tape. And in fairness, you and we had heard some rumors early in camp of guys being like, oh, we hit on Rocky Cummings. This guy's good. Even like off-season.
And the ultimate linebacker name, Paul. I mean it's like
it goes deeper than linebacker.
We should know. Another thing too is he was jacked in high school, and it's like great, all these athletes are special, but it just showed a guy that was doing a lot of weight training. So the mental eval, it was more the mental eval than like, oh, he has muscles. It was just like this guy trains really hard too, so that's a good sign. And that was something that stuck out with me too.
Yeah, I was very impressed by what I saw from him. He just moves very fluidly, and when you have that kind of height, you're actually really useful in zone drops if you can move, right? Because he's got a wingspan, he's already naturally tall. And think about how much of the game now is RPOs, right? You do that read and you have a quick throw to a spot.
Mm-hmm.
Having a 6'4" guy out there, having tall edges, like that creates friction in all those sorts of supposedly frictionless endeavors. And you get lots of batted balls, you get cheap interceptions. So that's a guy that you need to keep your eyes on. Cummings is going to be really good.
Okay, Sankey, I agree here. We should adjust our recruiting takes to prioritize players with best names and not watch their film. It's never been about film. I mean, you think of some of the greats like LeBron James, like that's a cool name, right? Like we didn't need to know much about him. So it is mostly I mostly 100% do name-based recruiting now. I just go through on 3 and kind of just write them down who Texas should go after. What position do y'all think Paul played way back in the day? I know this. If you guys want to guess quickly, I don't want to stall the live too much. But he's a taller guy, if that helps you.
We'll circle back in 30 minutes.
He played. He was power forward. All right, we'll let you guys guess. We'll get back to it. Jermaine Bishop, man, that catch over the middle where he just like that ball did not move an inch.
No,
and I talked about it yesterday on the live. Seeing it, and I'm sure you noticed it too. He comes off the line slowly. He's reading what the safety's doing. Then he gives him fake speed in the middle of the field. He's like, "Hey, here's my fast speed." And he draws them in. And then as soon as they get close enough to not be able to do anything about it, then he actually turns it on. That's the NFL stuff, man. Like that's the skill of wide receiver. This guy's not just like athletic. He's doing really skilled stuff for a true freshman.
So let's get an early name drop on this live so we can impress everyone with our credentials and everything. But I was talking to TJ Ford once, and he was saying like people don't understand point guard, that the defender can only go as fast as I'm going. So what I do is I lull him with a certain speed. We both get going the same speed, and then I accelerate, and then I decelerate. And he said that was what I could do. And that's what, even a really athletic defender who's super explosive and taller than me, and, TJ was 6 feet tall, right? But he's like some 6'4" dude with a long wingspan who's super fast, Gary Payton type guy, right? Defender. He's like, he can only go my speed. I've got the ball. I'm dribbling. He can't go faster than me.
He can get around him.
Yeah. So he's like, he has to match my speed. So I purposely lull him, and then I accelerate, decelerate, accelerate, decelerate. And he's like, that's what creates space. That's what creates all that sort of when people see me and go, oh, he's so fast. He's like, that's what they're seeing. And so that's kind of what Bishop is doing off the ball. You described it perfectly. It's kind of a little half jog. And then all of a sudden he puts it on like, oh, here's my burst. And then he's like, no, that wasn't my burst. Here's my burst.
Yeah, exactly. But also just the catch, like it didn't move an inch. Like it landed perfectly in his hands. I was like, that was an incredible rep.
Well, he can. So here's the crazy thing. We're so used to expressing athleticism in like gross measurables, like spark scores, NFL combine, all important. But there's more to athleticism than that. It's the ease, your coordination, how you can align your body. I mean, have you ever seen like a really good break dancer?
Yeah.
Like
me. I see myself every day.
I mean, exactly. You see yourself every day. But they're doing one thing with their arm. The other arm is doing something completely different. It's like the pat your head, rub your belly thing, while you sing or something. It's multitasking all sorts of parts of your body, that incredible coordination all at once, and making it coherent, and you're still running at your fastest speed. Because there's plenty of guys that run fast that can't catch a ball while they're running their fastest.
I sent you that video. I don't know if you guys watched it yet, but I sent it to y'all. It was talking about how 40 times are the least correlated metric in NFL receiver production, the least correlated. Like all the other drills are more correlated to production success. And so the whole point of the show, and I can't remember who made it, but it's awesome. It's like equals like speed is not fast or something like that. You can watch it on YouTube. But they're talking about why like Puka Nakua is really good. It's like the ability to move while processing is
Yeah.
what just straight line speed doesn't mean anything. 100 meters, guys, they're not processing anything. They're just running straight ahead. And that's the difference. And Bishop was watching the safety. He was doing calculations the whole time and adjusting his athleticism based on that input. That's high level stuff.
Yeah. I mean, not to overdo it, but the really, really best athletes are kinesthetic geniuses. Like they can pick up the movement of every piece on the field and understand where those lines are going to cross, where those vectors are going to go. And then they're like, I want to be just short of that, or I want to be up ahead of it, or I want to cut against it as this guy has to open up and really run his fastest. The minute he does that, I'm going to cut against the grain and he's not going to be able to redirect. And so all a long way of saying that Bishop's not just bursty, he's also really coordinated. And if you watch Travis Hunter, that really struck you in college in Colorado. Like, you're like, oh my God, this guy's so coordinated. It's just so easy for him. And that's what it looks like. And you talked about the ball not moving in his hands, right? Yeah. He snatched the ball. He's skinny as a rails guy from a much bigger player in the red zone, in the end zone. He just snatched the ball from him. Like, it looked like it was going to be a 50-50 ball, maybe a pick.
Charlie said he talked to Jonathan Cunningham after, and Cunningham was like, he took it from me, dude. He's like, I had no idea he could do that. He's like, he took it straight from me.
So, I mean, Bishop must have strong hands.
Yeah.
Even though he's a little skinny guy. So,
well, he's not playing that too. I talked about it. You could see that whenever the defender would advise him and the tackle was over for thud, he would still put his head down and try to run through him just to be like, I'm not little. So he definitely has that edge to him. All right, we got some answers, Paul. Ryan Nelson believes you were a tight end. Sugar Poppy said you played left bench. Ooh, Roaster, Water Boy. We got a lot of jokers here. Sandman says Paul was an offensive lineman. Nightmare says Paul was a green dot player. Sneaky, athletic, high IQ.
Yes.
All right, so Paul, let's give what were you actually, man?
So do we want to do my whole progression or just varsity? What did you play?
I don't know your progression. I just knew what you ended up.
I was a guard and a defensive end.
Oh, you played some DN?
Yeah. And so we were back in the day too, where it was like pulling linemen and there was no like inside zone. It was all lots of pulling and running around and stuff like that. So yeah, our O-line had no one heavier than 220 and no one lighter than 215. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. I tried to play DT they put me in for like 2 drives and I was getting wrecked. And because they put me in, I had no skill. I also wasn't big enough. But when they tried to put me in a DT, that did not go well at all for the Denton Ryan Raiders.
Someone said male cheerleader. You know what? That's not insulting. Those guys figured out stuff a lot earlier than a lot of us did.
They're impressive too. Some of the stuff they can do.
There's power in proximity.
Rex St. Charles is not buying it, guys. Adjust athleticism. That seems made up. You adjust your speed. We're not saying that like today he's like, I am not going to be athletic but we're talking about changing your speed and all those variables quickly on the run while taking in input. All right, let's see next. Jamarian Carlton. Big dude. Yeah. He got real big after he committed to us, and he could go either way, man.
Yeah, you know what? Good big. So sometimes we've seen some guys show up on campus back in the day, and it's like, oh, he put on some weight, like 70 pounds since we last saw him in high school, and it was not good, right? But this guy put on good weight. He's 280. He's 6'5", 280, true freshman, and he's athletic enough to still play edge. I think he's going to end up as a tweener guy that is playing 4-eye. He could be a 3-gap. He could still play strong side defensive end and wreck a tight end. But I think he's going to be between 295, 305. Very similar to a guy from Temple, Taquan Graham, a guy that preceded him at Temple and also went to Texas. Very similar skill set. Like he can anchor, he's strong, but he's still athletic, and he can pursue. He's not just there to like fill space. And he doesn't have like the get off when you watch like Smith Orogbo or Simmons or guys like that, or even Zena. Yeah, but he moves fine for his size. I mean, he's pretty agile out there. He's a big guy, and and he doesn't look gigantic. He doesn't look fully filled out yet. So I was just very impressed by what I saw from him. I think he's going to be a great Swiss Army knife for Muschamp down the road.
The ability for him to go from 4i to 3-tech is even bigger than 5 to 4i.
I agree.
And so it's like that's really cool. And Muschamp will be able to utilize that from everything that we've been learning with our man Pack. So yeah.
Well, you'll notice like all the stuff you've done with Ian and Pack and all that. D-line versatility is really valuable.
Yeah.
There's still value in having that one maybe big space eater guy, but then around him, you want a bunch of guys who can just play anywhere. And
well, you kind of think too, like you're like, well, I need a space eater that can 2-gap. He has to be 408 pounds. And it's like, no, they still do like a lot of, read and react, but you need athleticism to do that. You're having to shed quickly. And we'll talk about noses later. I think in general, I'm really excited about our noses as well from watching that stuff. All right. Richard Wesley. A year younger than he should be on top of everything.
That's the crazy thing. I mean, and he's only 6'4", 255 at what, 17?
Yeah.
He looks longer than that. And I think it's because he's like Xena and then he's got just crazy long arms. So he's got that swoopiness and he's cut high. You know what I mean by that? Like guys who can reach over their shoulder and grab their wallet.
No, I didn't know that term.
Like high ass, you know what I mean? But he takes like 2 strides and he's at the quarterback. It was very impressive and very good get off. Just, we've got so much talent on the edge. It's absolutely absurd.
I mean, that was a theme. To be fair, everyone with 2 steps got to our quarterback during the spring game. I don't think KJ Lacey had a drop back where he just got to set his feet and throw a football.
Well, and actually, not to go on a meandering tangent, but that's what we do. I loved what KJ Lacey showed in that.
So
because I don't want to see what you do with the all-star team around you.
Nope.
I want to see what you do. Like, can you make your team better with a bunch of misfit parts? And you're getting, withering pressure. Most of your guys are covered. Are you still throwing catchable balls? Are you still hanging in there? Are you bitching at your teammates because you threw 3 straight incompletions, that aren't really your fault? KJ Lacey balled out and found his spots. And I was someone who liked him, but I'm very skeptical of his size, particularly his frame. I understand that if you're clever and you can find your spots, you can quarterback in college at 5'11", 6 feet, whatever. I'm more worried that he's skinny. He's 185 pounds.
Yeah.
But that's not really a concern for a primary backup. And let me ask you, and let me ask the chat. MJ Morris, to me, was brought in to be the backup. I don't think he can be our backup. I think Lacey's going to be the backup. What do you think?
100%. I would even disagree. I don't think he was brought in to be the back. I think he was kind of a room filler. I mean, maybe, but it's the answer is that no, he has serious accuracy issues still. Now, of course, he's playing with the 2nd string, which is really the 9th string with how everything worked out with basically if you had an NFL grade, Sark didn't play you. So you were automatically the 2nd string in a lot of things. And so he was dealing with 3rd and 4th strings, but that lack of accuracy was an issue. Dio was hurt, so I didn't get to see him. But I mean, yeah, to me, he looks like 4th string right now.
Yeah, I think that may be right. And he didn't impress me. He's definitely got a more developed body. You can tell he's an older player.
For sure.
But I think there's a reason this is his, 4th stop?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was going to be the next big thing at NC State back a few years ago. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, no clue. But yeah, it just wasn't there. But KJ was confident. I heard people say too, they were like, man, he did a lot of good running. I was like, not really. He would step up in the pocket and throw first. He had a couple good runs, but none of them felt like he shouldn't be running there. It was like, hey, there's 7 guys about to sack me and there's no one in any of these gaps. I'll run. But it didn't feel like this panicked. I never got any panic from KJ. He would just get the ball out quick on some RPO tag, all of that stuff. So I totally agree and want to give KJ his flowers there. I thought he was really showed a mature version of quarterbacking.
Yeah, to be very cliche, he competed, and I wanted to see
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
He had, you know what, Paul, I think he had heart.
he had heart. He had gumption.
He had heart out there, dude. All right, Derek Cooper, that's that running back we've been hearing a lot about.
Yeah, and it may be feel odd to include him because he didn't have a big spectacular play, but I actually saw some things that were pretty exciting, that were kind of subtle, and actually erased some questions I had about his high school tape. So in his high school tape, and I'd be curious to see what the chat thinks as well, I thought he was a little stiff.
Well, he does that thing with his arm where his arm is like punching right near his head.
Well, beyond that, I meant
but it shows the stiffness, right? It's like it's like the arm stays at the same angle and just kind of float
upright. And
exactly.
Like, the way he was running. I didn't see that at all.
Yeah.
And he looked, someone was taping some of the drills. He's very fluid. Like, he has good feet, good change of direction. And then he had a couple of goal line carries. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't exactly getting elite blocking. On one of those carries, he moved the pile from the 5 to the 1. I mean, it was the smallest of seams. And your concern with any running back is there's no apparent hole. I'm bouncing it.
Yep.
I'm going to run to the edge and run this in because that works in high school. And then it's -3-yard run because they don't understand containment at the college level. He was like, nope, my job is to burrow into that little seam, get low, and drive. And that's exactly what he did. And then on his next carry, he saw a seam, a gap over from where he was supposed to go. He did a nice little cut, but kept his shoulder pads square and low, and he just popped into the end zone. I saw that, and I was like, dude, I think we might have our goal line back. Yep. So that was very encouraging. He also caught a ball. He looked okay, like pretty good catching the ball. And I just like the way he's put together. I mean, he looks really developed physically. And I know he showed up that way, and he's not stiff. You're always worried about a young freshman running back being able to level change because these guys run upright in high school and don't really pay a price for it. He gets his pads low. He wasn't doing the CJ Baxter, like standing straight up, strolling through the garden running. So yeah, I like Derek Cooper. I know he didn't have like a big 50-yard run or anything exciting, but I like the subtle things. And then the fumble he had, I wasn't too worried about it. It was just like he got hit right on the ball and he got, stood up by like 3 guys, right?
Yeah, it was that he was like trying to make something happen. And as long as he doesn't do that again in game, he'll be fine. That's an easy check.
It was a good learning moment.
Yeah, for sure. All right. That is the freshman. Paul, do you want to go on to general spring game thoughts?
I do. Yeah. I mean, I think so. Tight ends. I think we're improved there for sure. Now we're getting to the point where people are now overstating the improvement. So Spencer Shannon has demonstrably improved. Like, relax now. Like, everybody relax. Like, because now people are like, he's Tony Gonzalez. It's like, no, like, no. Relax. Yeah. Like, he is demonstrably improved, and he's now can be an asset for us in some things. But still, let's relax a little bit. I didn't see a lot from Nick Townsend. Did you? I saw him drop a ball.
Yeah, he had one where he did a cut back on his own, and then KJ just flipped it to him, but there wasn't a lot.
Yeah. Masunis had a couple of good plays, had a couple of bad plays. So we are still – it's not going away. We're still asking tight ends to block edges on play action. Masunis struggled with that a couple of times.
But that's what I was hoping Masunis could do. And that's where – because, like, it's rare, but it happens when you have a big guy. And so that's what I was hoping we would see. But, hey.
Most tight ends just don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know how to pass block.
Well, especially against an edge who spends like all they do in their offseason is just work pass rush moves. They're like so much more skilled too beyond.
Well, and the edge sees a guy his size finally.
Yep.
He's like, oh, you're my size and you're supposed to anchor against me? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just you don't practice it as a tight end. And I understand the goal on play action is get in the way because the ball's supposed to get out, but often they don't even get in the way. And so that's been the case with several good tight ends at Texas under Sark. Sanders, Helm, they weren't good at picking up people in play action either. So
run to a spot and turn and
turn your shoulder and he runs by you. But it's part of the offense, and we haven't gotten any better there. Masunis did have a couple of good run blocks, but I also did see him get stood up a couple of times. So I think people kind of maybe oversold him a little bit as like this is.
I think I might be one of those people. So,
oh really?
Because his inline stuff at he's at Michigan State, right? Yeah, his inline stuff was solid. Like in run blocking, that's the whole point. Is I was against nice.
Real Big Ten teams or against Purdue?
I can't remember. I pulled 3 games, so I always make sure to pull some good ones. And he had good reps. Like I won't just watch like their FCS competition. So he did good on duo inline. Like that's where he did really well. So I might have been one of the oversellers after that.
He had a really good outside zone block on a play. That was good. But I did want to bring up the tight ends because I think the room is definitely improved overall, but now people have gotten to the point where it's now being oversold. And I think fans are expecting something that's not true.
That we're going to be able to maul and stuff like that. And
I think like we're fine now, but like we don't have Gronk and Aaron Hernandez out there.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Not having Aaron Hernandez is probably good on several levels.
Yeah. Falsely accused, man. All right,
really?
Guys. I'm just a super contrarian.
Hey, let's talk about something that I think maybe has been undersold.
So let's leave that on a great hook so we can show this nice Academy ad. Everybody get your anticipation up.
Oh, it's an auto worm bite, turns out.
Giant. Oh, it's a giant.
It's a giant, so.
Oh, it's a giant! Oh, it's a giant! It's a giant!
It was just one practice, guys. Give him a chance.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah, I just told you I'm an overseller. I'm not letting one. I got to see it on versus Ohio State. All right, Paul. What are we underselling here?
Wide receiver room.
Okay.
So I think we know that our starters are going to be pretty good, but dude, this is the best depth we've ever had.
Dude, we didn't Cam didn't play in the scrimmage. Wingo, Mosley, we were down to our second and third strings, and all of them had great moments.
I like Dalen McCutcheon.
So do I.
I like Cohen Brown had a couple of moments as a true freshman.
Yeah.
Catching low balls. He had a drop.
He had a drop, but he won his route. And so that's what I took from him. I'm like, he was in the right spot. It's just dropped it.
Sterling Burkhalter. So he's exactly as advertised, which is I'm older, I'm 6'3", I'm reasonably athletic, and I'm going to be that dude that runs the proper route and finds the gap and turns around and catches it and runs upfield for 4 more yards. And I'm totally reliable. I'm going to do exactly what I'm supposed to do. And it's such a great compliment to all the other speed guys and all the different body types that we have out there. He's just the guy that you can trust. He's a great sort of backup to Mosley, right? He's a pared down skill set of Mosley, where I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. I'm running the correct route. I'm going to catch it. I'm very reliable. I can make side adjustments, all that kind of stuff. And then you've got freaking Jermaine Bishop running around like a freaking maniac. Obviously, we didn't see a lot of Cam Coleman. We didn't see any of Wingo, whatever, which is fine. I mean, and McCutcheon, he still looks good to me. We didn't see Lockett, right?
He's been hurt.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just think the depth in our receiver room is really good. I don't think we're going to suddenly have a deep rotation or anything, but I just think the future is bright. And I also think if we have an injury where a guy's got to miss a couple of games, I just don't think it's a big deal.
Receivers, too. They had to make a lot of catches with guys manning them up.
Yeah.
The problem with Sark's receivers, and I think it was like a practice flaw, is like Sark is so into these huge concepts that take up a ton of space that all of our guys were used to just running free, and then the quarterback had to put it there. And Muschamp was not allowing that. And so these guys were actually having to make contested catches, get to the right spot, right body position versus defenders. All of that stuff has looked way better than it has in previous years. It's a different style of receiving, and they looked pretty good.
Well, the tie-in with Muschamp is apropos because what did Georgia do to us repeatedly? It's like, can our guys not win? Like, why is Ewers getting sacked right away? Is there no one open? And then you'd look at the tape and you'd be like, no one's open.
Yep, they were matching us.
Yeah, they were matching us. They were not playing concepts and then like Sark likes to battle concepts. Like, I'm attacking your coverage. And Muschamp was like, and Kirby Smart were like, no, you're going to have to beat our guys. You're going to have to actually win the route. And we were not able to win routes, and that showed. So we've got route winners now. I think if you play the man with Cam Coleman, with Jermaine Bishop, with Wingo to a lesser extent, with all the guys that we have now, I think you're in trouble. I think you're in a lot of trouble. I think you're much more comfortable trying to match the scheme, in which case that's where Sark likes to play. And he knows how to beat your schemes and make the right calls. So,
because all he's doing is motioning and getting in formations and personnels to dictate your coverage, so then he can chess match you with a concept. If you don't even play Sark's game, just to literally be like, I'm not playing your game, you're going to win that game.
Well, so people always ask, with all the talent at wide receiver, why do we have 12 personnel? Because Sark knows that there's about 2 different coverages he'll see from 12 personnel, and then he wants to exploit that coverage, typically on play action over the top.
Well, why do you play compressed? Because it's going to force them into zone.
Yeah.
You can't play man versus compressed. So that's why Sark loves to be compressed, because now he knows he's getting zone. Now his concepts can run through windows. Now you can hit the spot. So a lot of it, is just refusing to play that game with Sark, because he's just setting you up so he can be that step ahead. So man him up.
And that's something that if you look at some of our schedule in the SEC particularly, that's going to play really well against some defenses that we have because of some of their losses in the offseason. Thinking specifically about A&M. They're going to have to match concepts, and they'll have a pretty good secondary. A&M's not going to have a front 7 or a front 6 that can really give us a problem. So you're going to have Arch Manning standing there getting to his 3rd read, and that spelled real trouble for anyone playing us, because our 3rd read might be Jermaine Bishop. And that's not good. Yeah. Your defense.
Me and Pack, after the show, we talked after the show that when we film it, and we were drawing up on the board trip sets, and we were like, if you put Cam Coleman to the boundary, you put Wingo at the number 3 to the field, you put Bishop at number 1 to the field, it's like there's no safeties or corners anymore. Like you're getting, like, you have all these matchups. And it was just kind of wild when we were moving those players around to show that, like, you can waste safeties and get one-on-ones on these really great players.
Well, here's what you can do with that. I mean, you can go trips, like with that grouping, with a tight end on the other side, right?
Yep.
And you might, you're going to have to pick your poison. There's a very good chance that DC is going to have to play a 5 or 6 man box. And now you could just run the ball.
Yep. That was exactly our counter, because we're like, look, you put these receivers on the field, these safeties are staying back. So they're already disadvantaged. And if they want to go fill the box, that's great, because now we have one-on-ones to at least 2 dynamic receivers.
Yeah.
And so it was it was a lot of fun. He was just drawing up on the board. I was like, if we did this, we have that now. The receiver room, they look more skilled, they look more athletic, they look more deep. All of the things that I've been asking for with wide receivers so far.
Woodcrest asked a good question in the chat. This is something we want to get clear maybe about the scheme we saw. He says, does Muschamp run more of a 3-4 multiple defense? Not really. So a lot of what we'll do is more like, it looks like from the scrimmage, that's what we're judging from. We're running a 4-man front.
Yeah, it looks like that.
We actually had several instances where we were running 5 and 6 man fronts. Like we were running a 6-1. At one point, the offense went to double tight, 12 personnel. we ran an old school 5-2, basically.
But
So
but that's what's really nice about so Muschamp runs a system, right? He runs the Saban system. So if you're getting a lot of RPO, it's matchup based. So
Yep.
if you're getting a lot of RPOs, now you're going to be in what's called mint, which is a 3-man front.
and
With
we're
a
going to
jack.
play man.
Right. So it's like you can't really think of it like, sure, there will always be a base, right? There's something they will run more or something that they like more. But really, the beauty of the Saban system that he's running, and go watch our Saturday shows. I think we're about to shoot episode 14 of it. We break it down. There's answers for everything. If the offense likes to go with a bunch of wide receivers and 10 personnel, here's what we can do. If they want to run the ball in double tight, here's what we can do. Now, what I think Muschamp did was what he knew his absolutely cooked Sark whenever he game planned. He's like, I'm going to blitz the hell with these. Like, I'm going to get you to third. I'm going to blitz these crazy athletic linebackers. We saw Biles can do approximations of like a Jalen Walker as far as blitzing, right? And so that's what he did. And he gave Sark, when you said the 5-man front, I don't know if it was Penny, but they were doing that thing where they're getting one-on-ones with the offensive line and their pass rushers. One of them's going to win. Sometimes 3 of them won at the same time. And then they were contesting routes. I mean, these are what was breaking Sark's offense. So it was almost like I felt a little bad because I was like, all right, Sark has realistically, they're playing 2 starters on the offensive line. None of the main receivers really are in. We're in a second string quarterback, and Muschamp was like, I do not care. Dial it up, baby. Like, let's see.
Well, that was the other part. So we ran a ton of just 4-man front, and then we constantly brought an interior linebacker.
Yep.
So if we had 2 linebackers standing side by side, one was coming.
Yep.
And sometimes it was both, but usually one was coming, and it would vary. It would differ. And bam, Biles is shot out of a cannon.
Dude, that's why it was funny because, like, whenever I watch him with Pitt, I'm like, this guy's awesome. Like, this guy is going to kill. And they were like, a lot of the questions were like, look, Narduzzi's super aggressive, right? Like, they just kind of go forward. I don't know if he'll be able to play this style. Da, 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 da. I was like, guys, watch his tape. Like, he makes incredible, and he can come off the actual edge. Like at Pitt, they would put him at like a 7. So yeah, Biles is going to be a special weapon, and he has incredible feel for it. How he can time the snap. One thing that was, it doesn't sound like an improvement, but it was the offensive line. He was still blow by him, but they saw him, Paul. They saw him, and so it used to be they didn't even see him. Like they would go to whatever their assigned blocking was last year and fire by. Now, could they stop him at all? No, they could not. But the difference was they at least identified this guy as blitzing. So slight progress there, fellas.
Yeah, and then I saw quite a bit of when Brad Spence was in. He was still basically lining. He was coming in, and then right before the snap, he'd run out to the edge, or he would just fire. So he wasn't being asked to play traditional linebacker. The only guy that I saw doing that a lot was Juice Cryer.
And shout out Juice, man, defending the post.
He runs better than he was sold.
Yeah, I still like. He still gets beat on the route. He's able to recover, and because he's behind him. So it's like his skill set from Florida State was like he was just slow footed, and he looked a lot faster on that rep for sure. And I just want to see him coming downhill more. That's what he's built. You can go. People don't take the value, and I wonder, do you take any value from high school huddle, even if a player is 4 years older?
No, I think you have to. You have to just kind of.
So I always, whenever I pull their all 22 from recent. I watch it in sequence. So I'll pull their high school huddle. You find the core of a player in their high school huddle. It's like that's their core identity and strength. They will develop more skills. They will get better at certain things, but they don't fundamentally often change from what their core strengths were. They'll get more developed. And that was same with Juice. Juice was playing fullback on reps. He was blitzing the line. And so that's what he was even strong at Florida State. But the ability he was able to get into the post like that is an added plus. I think he's going to play a lot more. Ty Anthony Smith, I think, ultimately will start there. But I think Juice is going to play a bigger role.
Someone asked us about Raleek Brown. I saw him on the kickoff. He's put together for a little guy, and he is shot out of a cannon. Like his first 3 steps are crazy. I think he's RB1.
Yeah, I think he will be too. Smothers is like, first off, the whole like rap on Smothers at first was like, it's a fast guy. And then I was watching this thing. I was like, he's not really a fast guy. Like and I looked at his 100 meters. He's like in the 11s. Like he's fat. He's faster than your average guy on the street, but he's not like a 10-1 speed guy.
He's very quick.
But he's not. I took him as a scat back, and he's not a scat back. And so he's more of a traditional running back. He's just going to read his holes and get 4 yards. Ralik is much more dynamic in that regard. Like he'll break it out. He's trying to go for the big play. But I think you can get consistency with Smothers, which we needed too. And then you can get Ralik to bounce out. Smothers can do it too occasionally.
Yeah. So just so this isn't a big Kool-Aid swilling contest, let's have a few criticisms. So Michael Terry.
Yeah.
He got some run. He goes down at first contact. He's a taller back.
Mm-hmm.
And particularly when he runs outside, if he gets grazed, he's going to fall down. He was a little better like running straight downhill. But even then, if a guy reached out and got an arm across him or something, that would take him off. He didn't shrug that off and just keep running through it, right? So I don't know what Michael Terry is.
Yeah, and this is the best way I don't know what level of analysis this is, maybe floor analysis, but it's just like he just doesn't look it. I can't describe it other than that. It's like it doesn't move like a back. And Eric described him as a straight line athlete, and I agree. There's a clip from last fall camp, I believe, where he ran a seam from the slot. He looked awesome. Yeah. And I was like, that guy's a slot, like a big slot, like bordering on that he's a tight end. With the skills of a tight end, are the size of a tight end, bottom range of it with the skills of a receiver. But he's pretty upright. It just he doesn't have the lateral that I would like to see on a running back.
Yeah, he's almost 230, right? And he's tall. And a lot of tall running backs, they're effective because they get their legs up, they get their feet up. Because people are going to always hit that guy lower.
Every time.
So you got to get go watch your old Eric Dickerson tape. His legs are up. His feet are up.
That's what Baxter could never figure out, that they were going to hit him in his ankles.
That's my biggest fear with any tall running back. We all love the idea of Derrick Henry, but there's a reason there's not many Derrick Henrys, right?
Yeah.
And what's the classic physiognomy of an NFL running back? They're not 6'2" and jacked.
Right.
They're 5'10", right?
Yep.
That's the most common sort of 5'10", 5'11", 210, 215, whatever,
Any safety can dive at your ankles when you're that tall, and they can get you down, But if you can meet them on, like you were talking level changes and planes earlier, like when you're on equal plane and that running back stronger than that safety, that makes a difference. But you just smack them in their legs. We see it all the time.
Or you run over them, and I don't mean you run through them. Literally Eric Dickerson, as the guy would dive low, his legs were so high he would just sort of trample the guy and just keep running. I don't know. I don't. People are like, well, he's 6'3", 230, he can run, he's athletic, just play him at linebacker. But if you don't have a defensive mentality, that doesn't.
Well, he doesn't want to play defense. Like Eric said it several times that he wants to play offense, And so I hear linebacker. I'm open to that. I'm just like, hey man, that's a big ass safety because he moves really well. But
I almost wonder if he's your big receiver in like a spread.
That's what I'm saying. Is he
your 12 TCU Baylor offense? Where he's your big body guy who's almost like your modified tight end, like those kind of air raid systems,
right? Where
they're just like the big body guy who can also do a little after the catch, and he can do enough in space, blocking, that he's not asked to block edges. He's asked to block smalls in space on screens. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. I would have to look at how big Traore is for Mississippi State. But that's kind of like what I think he's clearly bigger. He's more of a basketball body, but in that style and that usage.
Ryan Nelson says Michael Trigg from Baylor. That's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's what. And I don't even want him on the outside because the thought is he's tall. Put him outside. I'm like, no, I think he's a slot. And because I watched that seam he ran, it was incredible. But also it's like, where are you gonna fit in this wide receiver room too? It's like it's just tricky.
So here's the more hard-nosed aspect of all this now that we have the portal and NIL and salaries and budgets and caps. You can't afford to indulge an idea and see what it becomes in 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm
Or
assuming
you're just gonna have
I'm
to.
assuming
You're gonna.
Terry's not cheap. He was like a 5-star,
Yeah.
right?
He's like a top athlete in the nation. And what's
So-
weird is we did that deep dive where we found out that athletes are actually the most drafted NFL slot too. So because your first thing is naturally like, why take an athlete? They've proven that they don't have a role, but it's actually not because the NFL is looking for athletes. At its core, they're looking for athletes. These guys get drafted. Michael Terry will get drafted. But it's like we got to figure out what we can do. And you're already limited if he doesn't want to play defense. You're limited in a wide receiver room that you're like, well, we already have great slots. What do you do at running back?
My notes here, Connor.
Yeah, wow. What an intellectual.
O-line. Obviously, we didn't have our starters.
Yeah.
And that was reflected in some of the performance. We got to get a little more punch on the pull. Like, I saw several instances where guys were pulling and they were a little slow, a little lethargic. But when they did get there, and they were met by like a safety. So there was one play where Jaden Chapman got met by Teray Davis, freshman safety. Teray weighs 195, 200 pounds.
He's going to be good though.
Chapman didn't really like wipe him out. Like on plays like that, you need to erase that guy. You've got 110 pounds on him. And it wasn't like the situation where an O-lineman's way out in the open field. There's little fast guys running, darting in, like undercutting him. It wasn't that. Teray Davis had to kind of meet him to prevent the sweep from scoring. And it kind of was a tie. Like, that's not good. Sikorsky, I liked him a little better at center than guard. At least insofar as when he was at guard, when he was asked to pull, it was too slow. He didn't get out there.
Well, I think in general, he had some reps at center that looked better than Robertson to me at times.
I agree. He's a big guy.
Yeah. And so it's tricky with the guys that we know aren't going to be starters. But also it's just like some of these guys have years in the program and still they're not getting pop. And so that's what's kind of worrying to me before we talk to starters. It's just like kind of overarching. And they're going to dent you like edges and stuff. Now they're taught, most teams are going to teach that edge needs to get around on that count and hit that guy as far in the backfield as he can, cause a log jam, all of that. So it's like you're going to get dented, meaning that the edge is going to turn and hit you as hard as he can to try to create a log jam. You can't let that happen to you because it destroys the counter.
Your feet can't stop at contact.
Yep.
And that's a very common thing is, DJ Campbell early in the year, that was one of the things we pointed out in the deep dives. He was very lethargic at contact. And then a bee got in his bonnet at some point during the year and he started finishing blocks. But we've got guys that are still not finishing blocks. And that's not good.
And like I said in the group chat to you and Ian, I was like, I don't think we had a successful inside run. And whether it was, I couldn't tell if it was duo or IZ, but it's just like our interior defensive line was demolishing things and just like shoving guys around. And there just wasn't a lot of success. And it's like sometimes, outside would look better, but there was runs that were not outside runs that people were just like, yeah, they did good on outside zone. I'm like, that's not outside zone. That's the running back going like time to bounce it out.
Yeah.
So it's just we still don't have that forward push. We still don't have that. I know guys are injured, but I specifically was watching Baker and Robertson. There were several reps where our linemen were driving them 5 yards into the backfield. They were, getting beat. And that's not a technique. It is a technique, but it's not a cohesion thing. I keep hearing we just need more time and cohesion. And I'm like, guys, they're not going to gain 100 pounds in bench press in these 3 months. Like some of this is what it is. And I know it makes us feel better to be like, if they can just get a little bit more time, but some of that is just like, these guys just aren't very strong in a lot of these regards, whether it was pass rush or even on our run block.
Yeah. It's an interesting thought. Hey, spring's here. Summer's coming. You going to buy a house, Connor?
I actually am in a little while.
Nice.
Not this spring though, but I
No?
got plans, and guess who I'm going to call, Paul?
I know who you're going to call. You're going to call Gabe Winslow, aren't you?
Chase Bank.
No, don't call Chase Bank.
Go to one broker. They work really hard, and they give you great rates. Is that right, Paul?
It isn't. There's a reason there's a term
Wow.
called banker's hours, and that is not a compliment.
Oh.
What you need to call is a guy like Gabe Winslow. You need to call a UT grad, a National Merit Scholar, a law degree guy who is out there doing deals. He's one of the biggest and best originators in the great state of Texas, nay, the great states of the Uniteds. How about that?
Wow.
What a 18th century prosaic way to describe that. You got to reach Gabe. You can reach him at 832-557-1095. Why? And what was Connor joking about? Far too many of us go, well, I bank with Wells Fargo. I guess I'll call them and see if they do loans. Not the most competitive and probably smartest way to go about that process. And God help you if you Google best bank rates or best mortgage rates and then put your phone number in, their little can we contact you thing, because you're going to get 79 calls from auto calls in Nigeria and Bangalore trying to get you to go with a mortgage broker who is not going to operate in your best interest. Go with Gabe Winslow. Go with the guy with over 200 raving Google reviews. Go with the guy that so many Inside Texas readers have used. This is the dude you want to do your business with. 832-557-1095.
We got on offensive line, or do you have any more thoughts, Paul?
No, those are just general thoughts. I mean, honestly, we didn't see our full offensive line, and I think we probably kept it pretty plain. We didn't do a lot of game planning for the opponent specifically. And also, Muschamp didn't exactly light box him either, right? He didn't make it easy.
Right. What I thought, so zero sum, right? So I mainly tried to watch one-on-ones. What did Baker look like when he was up against a defensive tackle? Those were the things I was trying to isolate for. And the flip side of I don't feel great about the offensive line, the alternate is the defensive line was doing work, man. Gaffard looked great. Thank you. You had another defensive lineman that you thought stood out in one of your other pieces. They looked good on the interior. They were mucking it up, dude. Like nothing was coming up the middle. And then, of course, you have incredible edges to hold that containment. Linebackers were scraping well beyond the pass game, being able to blitz. I thought the front was mean and athletic, and we're basically making it super hard on this kind of broken offensive line because everyone's hurt right now.
Yeah. Just go through my notes here. A lot of 4-down over fronts. So we didn't light box, right? So a typical Georgia thing is you use the least amount of guys to stop the run that you have to, right? And everyone else just covers. We didn't really do that. And we were bringing it downhill. So it wasn't like we were saying to our guys, hey, grab the offensive lineman, hold them up, read the ball, flow. It was like drive people backwards. And if you get tired, we have like 6 more dudes we can put in. So tired is not an excuse for this D line, right? We've got too many guys, too many bodies. So Hero Canoe was great, as always. I love Hero Canoe.
He's awesome.
Gaffard, kind of curious. Are we just going to play matchups with him? I feel like if you get him stranded out there and hurry up, that's not good.
So Gaffard is at maximum here's your 30 reps, go kill that guy, and then bring in the next guy. Like that's what I feel like. If you can keep him not getting tired and just going crazy for a short amount of reps, I think that's how you maximize him.
Yeah, I guess my only concern with him would be a team identifies him on the field and says, hey, every time Gaffard's out there, we go hurry up, no huddle. They can't sub, and by play 3, there will be no interior pass rush coming from that guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It might be an approach, but that's the only way I could think that people could exploit him.
Yeah. He's a bigger dude, but he was powerful. He was jacking guys up, and he was jacking up our projected starters. So that thing too, January had a couple good reps. They just, that I don't know. That was my number one thing that I came away from the spring game is I like the interior the most. Did you not get that?
Yeah, no, I like our D line overall. Yeah. I just think there's so many
of course.
I mean, just so many guys. It's crazy.
What do you think of Muschamp just stress testing the hell out of the offense? Like, because at one point, so this is funny. So like Muschamp's bringing it for real, and clearly, I don't think there was a communication. Some of these practices and games are like pretty rigged, but it felt like Muschamp had control and Sark had control because Sark then had now because everything's man. He's going into all these switch routes and man beaters now. But at some level, it was hilariously mean to put that much heat. The defense is just the athlete level on it was a totally different thing versus, our second and third strings.
One thing about Sark, and people see the like guy who's dressed cool and, very slick in media interviews and like pretty prepossessed, right? He's kind of very old school. Mm-hmm. So if you guys remember, not the last spring game we saw Arch Manning, but the very first spring game we saw Arch Manning. Who did he make Arch Manning go out there with? Do you remember on offense?
I don't remember, but I can assume not a very good version of the offense.
Third team O-line, walk-on wide receivers. Like, does anyone else remember this in the chat? Because it was Arch Manning, everyone like this underwhelming debut in the spring game, and people were hoping he was going to light it up. Sark did that on purpose. And he is very old school in that regard. Like, he doesn't like the idea or perception that a quarterback starts on second or third base. So his whole thing is, as he did with Lacey, hey, go out there and show me that you can compete with inferior personnel. Show me you can still make a play. And Lacey, to his credit, still threw some catchable balls and competed out there. I mean, he threw some really nice balls. So I just think that Sark, I don't think he minds Muschamp showing up his offense. Sark doesn't think that way. And I don't know why like UT fans don't notice that, because they'll always be like, all Sark cares about is his offense. It's like, no, he literally.
No, he's actually giving. I mean, you could criticize Sark for giving too much to the defense.
Yeah.
Like in recruiting and
he actually coaches the offense in a way that limits his production and his stats because he wants to help the defense. Like you and I have complained about it. We get a certain lead. There's no gas. It's all breaks. And we run the ball, we run clock, and we punt, right? Yep. So that's Sark doesn't do any of the little shortcuts that offensive coaches do all the time, which is, we're going to run hurry up. It's, if it's 4th and 2 on our 48, we're going for it. I don't care. Screw the defense, right? Sark doesn't do any of that. So
they definitely didn't gamify it, which is what you always think, and most people do, versus a crowd, because there's a WWE aspect too of like make sure they get 3 touchdowns, right? Like, at the end of the day, this is an entertainment product. The money comes from your entertainment. But they didn't do that. Muschamp was able to really go off the leash and use a lot of the stuff that Georgia did against us and shut down our offense. I think it was important to see that. And it was cool as just a fan to be like, oh, we can do some of that stuff Georgia was doing to overwhelm on third down. So I thought it was cool.
Yeah, there was one play where Grayson Littleton had a clean PBU, and I think they called a PI because Muschamp went nuts on the sideline.
Yeah.
And
there was a couple ones that the people told me when they were there, it would get quiet, and then Muschamp would be like, what the heck are we doing? Like whenever we were false starting, and you could just hear them in the stadium very clearly. So I thought the defense, I was excited to see that they were leaning into more 4 down. Muschamp did the interview 2 weeks ago where he's like, hey, guys, I'm going to tell you, Colin Simmons is pretty good at pass rushing. I think we're going to do that more. I was like, okay, check. And then I knew Biles could blitz. And so to see that implemented that quickly, we have the ability to overwhelm. And then also within the system, we have the ability to, just give you 2 yards and then shut you down. So we have both sides of the coin, it looks like.
All right, April 21st, you're not held to this. You can modify your opinion with more study, more time. You might have a different opinion in August. FEI, we're going to use the Fremo Efficiency Index, the advanced statistics.
Yeah.
Is this a top 20 Texas D, top 10, top 5, top 3? When the smoke all clears nationally, what level defense is this going to be?
Me and Ian have got this a lot, and so I'm naturally averse to top 5 in year ones. That's basically kind of my core thing. And then there's still some matching stuff I still want to see because this defense, if you play that aggressive, man, you can get absolutely gashed on explosives if you screw up. So I think there's that risk. I'm comfortable. I'm 100% comfortable with top 20. And to me, a made up number, I'm like ceiling 8, floor like 13 or 12. That's where I feel like the defense will be in year one, even with all this talent.
All right. I think I might be at the higher range of your range.
Most people are.
Yeah. I'd say 5 to 12.
Okay. So you got a little higher ceiling,
is,
which I'm okay with because we have a lot of NFL players on that defense.
Yeah, and it's also, I mean, it's relative, right? So we're also counting on other defenses being good to beat us, right, in that spot.
Yeah.
And there's not a ton that are just obvious. Like, what are the best SEC defenses? OU, Texas, maybe LSU.
Yeah, Georgia.
Alabama, they need to get faster up front, right? Together, they're going to have a really good secondary. A&M ain't in the running anymore. I don't know. Chat, help us out. Tennessee could be okay on defense.
I was going to ask you if you scouted Tennessee because I don't know anything about them.
Well, they're going to have to win with their defense because I don't know if their offense is going to be.
I'm going to flip it on you. What do you think about the offense?
That's a great question. Sark has not. What's the highest FEI offenses he had at Texas? Has he even been top 10?
No, I don't think he's ever been top 10. I think, and someone check me. You can go through on the chat. I think the highest was like 15 or 16. But
all right, I'm going to look it up, and you pull up some awesome stuff on the chat.
All right, cool. Well, let's see what we have some real good stuff with our joke squad that's always in the chat. I'd rather have a top 5 offense than a top 5 defense. Seems like the past few years that's been key.
In modern football, there's a good argument for that. You know, if you said that 20 years ago, people would be like, "Oh, that's outrageous." Yeah. Okay, in 2022, we were the number 6 offense. Hold on, is that right?
Yeah, is that right?
No, it's not right.
Like no way.
That was overall, actually. You remember we were the 8-5 team that everyone was like, "This is actually a top 10 team by the stats." It's like, well. So we were 17 in 2022.
Okay.
We were 19 in 2023. 2024, we were not top 10, obviously. So no, Sark has never had a top 10 offense.
Which is crazy.
That's weird, right? You would assume that was the case.
I mean, the whole point of like, let's hire this offensive genius from Alabama. That was the core thought. Now he expanded to be much better of a CEO and a guy that takes care of his defense. So he's bigger than that, but it is still weird. Especially on years where you had.
Guess what? He's had 2 offenses ranked in the 30s.
Yep.
His first year and then last year.
Yep.
That's wild, right?
Which the 30s was still impressive for some of the stuff we saw last year. But the point is this. You can't have this wide receiver room with Arch Manning who could go 1-1 with running backs with explosive traits. I think the O-line is still going to be a limiter. But it's just like, at what point will you get into top 5? You know, that's, I think, the question. It's like, and you also have to have a little bit of a run it up in you, man. And sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. But
he needs to talk to Kurt Signetti, right?
Yeah, but it's like it's a drive efficiency thing too. So it's just like, if you're willing to take off second halves every game, of course you're never going to get into the top 5.
Well, you know what's funny is if you ask people the last 4 years who's had better offenses, Texas or Georgia, wouldn't most people say Texas?
Yeah.
But the answer is Georgia.
Well, yes.
In kind of a runaway, actually.
Yeah.
Georgia was a top 10 offense last year.
Yeah.
That's interesting, right?
Yeah. Benjamin, offensive rankings are silly. Teams that can't play defense get inflating numbers because they have to keep chucking the ball downfield in the 4th.
So yes. So there's an element of that, But remember, these are advanced statistics.
We're accounting for a lot of this.
We're not looking at yardage.
Yeah.
And advanced statistics discount cheap garbage stuff. These are like, kind of pressure tested statistics that are supposed to show you at your best.
And it's opponent adjusted.
So
meaning that you don't get the same credit for playing a no name versus playing Georgia.
That's right. So people are like, well, they play in the American Conference. Of course they're gonna light it up. Well, that's already adjusted for. So Now, is it true that certain offensive styles are more prone to just annihilating a bad defense? Yes, that's true. And you do get some points for that. That's hard to tease out of advanced statistics. But for the most part, the purpose of advanced statistics is to show your offense and sort of a true picture.
Yep.
So there's some variation, but it's not like inflated or blown apart the way you think. It's like the difference is not 20 spots, it's like 2.
Yeah, and also it's like when you look at the FEIs, like they make sense. Like you see the teams, you're like, that's a good offense, and their FEI is a good, So it's like it'd be different if you're just like, why is it saying Boston College is number 1 and they haven't scored in a year? It makes sense with what you see as well. So Sark, and I'm not talking, if you're talking total yardage, you can cheat that, right?
Yeah.
But these opponent adjusted stuff, you can't really cheat, and that's why we look at it. But we don't look at total volume because like an air raid team is going to cheat towards high volume yardage. But if they don't score, it doesn't matter. But
someone's asking in the chat, and this is very fascinating about just like general perception. And I get it. I'm not, coming from the mountain with like all the truth here. But someone was asking, what was our defense last year in advanced statistics? I'm guessing 23rd. We were 10th.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize we played a ton of elite offenses. Vanderbilt was the best offense in college football by advanced statistics. Let's see what else. Ohio State, 2nd in college football. Oklahoma. Oh, no. Sorry. I'm on defense. But no, so Vanderbilt was highly rated and highly regarded on offense. A&M was highly regarded. Georgia was highly regarded. So we played a bunch of elite offenses. So yeah, we finished 10th, which is surprising when you think about
that back half.
How we absolutely blew coverages and stuff like that in several games, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it was a subtle drop. Like we saw, we were 2nd or 3rd at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And so it's just you saw it drop. You would, after you had a bad game, you go from 7th to 8th, 8th to 9th. So you saw that kind of happen. But still, I think the question is, you have all the weapons. Can you adjust your play style to get points? And then also, I've said it a billion times, I don't want to harp on it. The committee's not very advanced. Points matter to them. Style points matter. So I don't care because morally it offends me. I'm like, who cares if you win by 10? We dominate it. They have 50 games on the damn television. There's no way to take it in. And so no human, you gotta have to get an AI for this. There's no way they can understand the nuance of all of these games for rankings, but they can see you won by 20 or you won by 3.
Well, and that's it. So there's a qualitative aspect of football where if you're an old school Cowboys fan from the 90s, the Dallas Cowboys would win a game 27-14. And it was the biggest physical ass kicking you've ever seen. You're like, at no point was this game competitive. We completely dominated them, and we ran a bunch of clock, handing the ball to Emmitt Smith in the fourth quarter. And like, it was not a contest, but we won by 13. So it was competitive. Like if you just glance, at the score, I think the committee does that all the time. I've watched so many college football games where the team, it's 31-10, but you're like, that was an ass kicking, right? The committee wants to see 52-14.
Yep.
That's just what they want to see. Because that's what a good team does. And they don't look at it much more deeper than that.
Yep. And that's what, it's like Sark changed that. And I get it. I think you're right, Sark. But still, it's like you're wrong. You're right all the way to wrong in the committee's eyes. So it's turn it up, man. Plus, you got the weapons. Do it.
No doubt.
Do it. Everyone, head over to Inside Texas. Spring sale 50% off on 3 IT Rivals Ultimate fan bundle. Would love to see you on the board. Link in the description.
Yeah.
Everyone, have you a real nice Tuesday. And stay locked in for the rest of the videos coming out. This is brought to you, if I didn't say it already, by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Later.